Yes, this is Gabriel O'Doherty. I'm here with Colston, who is a survivor of the Asheville hurricane/flood. We're sitting here. Colston's eating a good meal. He's in good spirits. And we just wanted to, inform people. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't know the severity of what is actually going on out there. The numbers are just coming out. And I have a very, very close friend of mine that is just going to talk about his personal journey with this hurricane.
That was such a good meal. I'm so glad to be here. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, I just finished. I was up all night editing for Joe's movie, the Nympho movie, and I finished everything. It was beautiful, but I didn't upload it in because the upload speeds in Back Cave are and maybe the power's about to go out anyway. It was raining, but it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any warnings like, hey, evacuate.
No.
We got like, hey, you're probably going to get 5 inches of rain. I'm like, dude, I get 5 inches of rain every weekend I'm down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wasn't that scared. I knew the power would probably go out, but I knew I had to be there to make all these deadlines because I had the art installation the next weekend. And I had to finish that short film too. So I knocked that out. And that was about 7 a.m. I was about to curl up and go to bed at 7 a.m. And this was Wednesday into Thursday. So it's technically Thursday, 7 a.m. But, I was about to have my sleep going into the next day. And then I heard the most evil sound I've ever heard. It was strange. It was and it's for some reason that popping sound made me think of a demon. Super strange, right? Why would that sound make me think of that? And I was just kind of looking down. There was no power. The power had actually just gone out right after I finished the movie. And I was just chilling on the couch and I heard that sound. And the light was just coming up for the day, but it had a different hue. So the light coming in through the windows was just eerie, and I hear this sound. Yeah, it was just an eerie hue to it, and I hear the sound, and then I put it together. This is the sound of the plumbing, being pressurized and crushed, and a pop of a PVC somewhere in the plumbing. And I was yo, and I walked to the back corner of my house where my workshop is, where your bench is.
Yeah.
And the laundry room. And normally when I walk back there and look out the window, you can tell that's where the trees fall. Trees just fall there. There's nothing but old trees and boulders back there, And I go back there and I look out the window and I see nothing but limbs from trees that have already fallen. And then something right there in that moment, I don't know what it was because I didn't see anything, but something right there told me to turn around and run as fast as I fucking can. Run like hell.
Relax. Yeah. Don't get too excited about telling the story. Try to just...
yeah. And I'm just going to stop and breathe sometime. But, so I turn around and I run like hell. And as soon as I turn around, I hear the sound of it was hell. It was every tree ever cracking. It was the loudest cracking you could imagine. And as soon as I turn around, my house turns into an avalanche of mulch and just wood splinters. And I'm running through the house as fast as I can. This is happening so fast. And the avalanche is on my heels the entire time. Through the house, through my kitchen, through the front door. And instead of going out the front door, I go, because that would take too much time to open, I go straight for the wall and I shoulder check the wall. Jump and shoulder check it over that mixer board table. And the avalanche was right behind me, and me shoulder checking the wall and the avalanche coming up on either side of it, the wall fell down and opened up, and the ceiling hit down right behind me, and everywhere in that house like collapsed all at once except for that wall that I was on, and I rode that wall like a fucking raft down the hill. And like me hitting that wall, that was when I immediately could feel, boom, all these ribs just stabbing right through my lungs, dude. And I'm just like holding my head like this, dude. Just, I was screaming at this point, you know what I mean? It's kind of funny because I was naked. I was just naked screaming, and just being bombarded with fucking branch, tree. It was nothing but trees. There was no water in this. Like, it wasn't like a mudslide. It was just violent, splintered trees, hundreds, a train of trees. Like, it was so many. And all I could do is scream and hold my head. And that's when I got, like, you see all these lacerations and all these bald spots from, like, the road rash of, like, the trees coming in. And it was just nothing but trees while I was cradling myself. And then finally the ramp of the side of my wall stops. And I, like, know immediately that I have to act right fucking now, or that's gonna happen again. So I jumped down. It was like, I don't know, maybe 10 feet. It was higher than I wanted it to be, but like I couldn't like not do it.
Yeah.
And luckily when I jumped down, it was just like mud down there. I mean, you can see my legs are all scraped the fuck up. Yeah. That was from me like jumping down, crawling through those briars. I see that my car hasn't been touched yet, So I run up, I jump in that car so I can collect myself. I know my body's not right. I know I got hit real hard. I got checked. I know I can't breathe good. I know I don't have any protection. No shoes, no clothes. I throw some pants on in my car. I look back at my house. There's no getting anything out of the house. House is a pancake. House is like a roof, kind of, and trees, just trees. So, like, I'm like, fuck. I can't walk down the driveway. That's like there's so many trees. I can kind of tell that the same thing happened to the other houses on the other side. There's like a house up above, and there's a house down below, the red one. Yeah. I could tell that the same thing happened to those, but like a different style, like maybe just water. That happened, and it pushed the houses even further away from me, like way that way. So what I do is I climb down the brush and briars to that yellow house. That one hasn't been hit yet. I break into that house, steal some clothes. Kind of check myself in the mirror and be like, okay, this isn't like a funny story anymore. This is like, I'm in survival mode. Like, this is my survival mode. Yeah. So I throw on jeans and a rain jacket out of that clothes. The guy who lives there is in Asheville. He's safe. So I break in to that house, come out. I know I can't use the driveway to get to the road, but I need to get to the road. So I climb down, just straight up brush and stuff. I think it's still recording. We're cool. Yeah, it's still going. Okay. I get to the road, and I look to my right. My logic says there's more houses to the right. There's a fire department in both directions, right? Yeah. There's way more houses on the way to the fire department on the right, and obviously it's higher ground, so that's the best option. I look to my right. There's a city of trees between, like, it's unrecognizable. I don't know how many trees were able to do the landslide, but it was so many, and they're all like piled up on each other, so tall, but none of them are standing. They're all like just laid up on each other, and it just like, it looks like the most dangerous thing you could ever do. I'm like, hell no. So I look down, and down the river looks like mudslides, and like parts of the road are missing. Mm-hmm. And then there's like power line cables going into the water. And I'm like, okay, hopefully there's no power to those power lines. Probably not. But, it's a gamble. But that looks like the safer route. There is a fire station that way. So I'm going to go that way. So I start walking that way, dude. I take a step where there's asphalt. Because I know. Because I've lived there for 7 years. Dude, I fall 6 feet under. It's fucking quicksand. I swim out, and I'm like, fuck, dude.
Like mud? Or
dude,
like
it was like mud, water, stuff. It was just quick, dude. It was like real life quicksand. I was like, holy shit. It was like, whoa, snap, Batman, quicksand. It was like really real, and like it was hard as fuck to get out. I get out of that shit. I'm like, that's impossible. And then I look, and after the quicksand moment was when I was hit with like dude, most people aren't going to make it out of this shit.
No.
And I'm like, fuck, dude. Okay, but I never doubted that I would make it out.
Let me ask you this. Do you think when I met you in the shape that you were at that time versus now, do you think that you would have made it before? Do you think you had the stamina and the energy and the strength to get yourself out of that situation? Or do you think this...
I don't know. It's a weird thing to answer because it's not like... It's the timing of it all, you know?
You're off adrenaline. I mean, you're
yeah.
Peak performance of what you can
Here's what I know, and here's what I can answer, because I can't really answer that, but I can answer, because I do feel like it's more spirit and adrenaline, but there definitely was, like, I did have to be fit as fuck to do this next part.
Well, you've been, like I said, you've been doing the Jacob's Ladder unlike anybody. You've been running up and down those
trails.
I
probably wouldn't do it because this next part was intense physically.
That's you were running
so
up
I probably,
and down those
if this would have happened before I started, like, doing my trail running, and you see how I rock hop.
Yeah.
You know, I go, like, really intense when I'm by myself.
Before.
I mean, I used to do that, but then there was a moment where, yeah, you're right. I totally wouldn't have been able to make it. But right here is when I realized that, like, most people wouldn't make it, and that, like, I'm going to make it. And I knew I was going to make it.
Yeah.
And I turn around, and I know, after experiencing that with the road, I know the only way I'm going to make it is if I go, like, super parkour on these trees, and if I summon a helicopter. And I didn't start thinking how I'm going to summon a helicopter, because think about it, that's the most impossible thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
But, like, I just knew I was going to, because I knew that was the only way to, and I knew I was going to make it. I can't explain those things to you, but, like, I knew parkouring over these trees and helicopter had to happen. So I get to work on these trees, and I climb them. And I'm swinging, bouncing, running through them, all this with that hurt lung. You know, one misstep and I fall into the soup. If I fall into the soup the wrong way, gone. If I fall and break a leg over here, if I step on a branch and that branch happens to be soft and it breaks my leg or it pokes through my foot because I have no shoes, gone. So every step is just...
comes down on you.
Dude, and I have to do it fast because I know it's coming.
Yeah.
You know? And anyway, it was just like in the zone. I've never been in the zone so hard in my life. I make it through all those trees. And then I get to a clearing and I see a little girl crying. Mm-hmm. It was a neighbor girl.
It was those two, yeah.
It was the neighbor girl. She was crying. And I go up to her, and this is when I realize how fucked up I am. So I go up to the little girl, and she's crying, and I try to talk to her, and I realize I can't talk. And also, she sees me, and she doesn't see, like, a hopeful knight in shining armor. Yeah. She, like, sees me, and she's scared.
Yeah.
You know, because I look so fucked up. Like, I'm bleeding all down my face and shit. And, she, you know, I ask her if anyone survived. And she said, yeah, but they're stuck. Mm. And I say, I'm wheezing the whole time. I'm like, is your mom okay? Yeah. Can she help me? And I ask her for help from her mom. And she says her mom's in there trying to pull out the baby. Because they have a baby, right? and their house went the opposite direction of mine. So we split, and I had to cover all this land to get back to like where she went.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell her I'm just gonna go get help because I know I can't go in there and get a baby. I realize that my batteries are fucking dying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, okay. She won't even come out and talk. So like, I'm like, all right, I gotta go get help for my sake and this baby, and I gotta summon this chopper. So I just keep going. I start seeing houses, nobody in the house. You know, and I'm every time I pass a house, I'm like debating. I'm like, do I break in
Are you walking
and
on
rest?
a road, or are you still walking?
There's actually road on this part. It's not like sinkholes with the quicksand like down below.
Okay.
So there actually is road, but I'm climbing over trees. There's nonstop trees and kind of a river in it.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 feet of muck, but there is like road, you know? So, but it's not quite as crazy as the other way. So, because I already did the crazy part. The crazy part was the trees that like had just fallen through the houses.
Riding your freaking house wall.
Yeah, the house wall was crazy, and then navigating through the trees after the house wall, that was like the two super crazies.
Yeah.
Now it's just like I have a clock ticking of my lungs, you know, because I'm exerting myself. So I'm like trying to find the balance of exertion, how many houses can I try until I break in and rest, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I break in and rest, does that mean I die? You know, and I keep going, and then finally I see people in a house, and I'm just like, thank God.
Yeah.
I walk in the house, I get on my knees. They're like in shock to see me, and they're like, come in. And it's two old couples and a young couple. And I tell them, I get on my knees, I tell them, ribs broken, punctured through left lung.
Yeah.
Concussion, split cranium, don't let me sleep.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, don't move this. Possible back injury, I can't tell because I can't move good.
Can't feel shit, you're on adrenaline.
Exactly. Possible neck injury. I got a girl to write it all down. As soon as I walked in, I told her all my injuries, just in case I passed out, you know? Because they don't know I have a concussion. I mean, it's not hard to figure out, but they're not really medically inclined people, and they weren't. But we did get lucky from who it was. She was a prepper. She had a bunch of water. She had a bunch of shit like that. I tell the men where the girl's house was, and that there's a baby stuck. And the younger man, he was a survivor of a house. He knew how to throw an SOS signal on a cell phone.
I don't even know how to do that.
He knew how to do it.
Yeah.
There's a button combination. We got to learn that shit because it saved our lives. He knew how to do an SOS signal on... I've done it on accident before and been pissed off by it.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a button combination you do on a cell phone. And he knew it. And plugged it into the old man's phone that still had some juice left. And the old man all day sat there on the roof just trying to get signals, sending it over and over and over. Man with collapsed lung, baby trapped. We need help.
Yeah.
And then finally it went through, dude. It fucking went through finally after hours. Dude. And the whole time I'm just sitting there meditating, trying to keep my lung from like dying.
It's one of the
completely.
worst pains. It's unbearable.
It was just like, it took all my focus, you know?
Breath
and everyone's like trying to ask me like what's going on, and I'm not talking because like I just saying everything what I need to say.
Yeah, because it's too painful to talk.
And then I'm just like trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know? And I am keeping the mood up, you know what I mean? I was kind of the one with like I probably had more leadership skills than most there.
Yeah.
Most of those people were scared, and I was trying not to scare them.
Yeah.
But anyway, and they were cool. They gave me new clothes, and they fed me and gave me water while I finally found a position where I could sit and just breathe and meditate through that. And they got the fucking service, and there was actually a fireman family. It was a man, a woman, and their son. They were all three firemen. Their house had gotten ruined on Middle Fork, where you had put that arcade machine. They lived right beside that boys club,
Yeah.
which is like above my house, on top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So they climbed over the mountain. It took them 12 hours to get to us.
Yeah.
But they climbed straight to us. They got the message.
Who is this?
It was just a family that happened to be volunteer firemen.
Oh.
And they all had climbing gear. They were like climbers.
Look, they were all over town. Those good old boys were chopping down trees, and they were just like on a network. I don't know how we get involved with that, but like
it was cool, man.
Yeah.
And they were on the network, and they were like, well, dude, we're the only chance for these people to survive, and I don't know what we're going to do when we get to them.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm breathing, I'm just thinking about the fucking chopper, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta summon a chopper. So, so they take 12 hours to get to us. Within that 12 hours, the young man and one of the other old men find the courage to go and get the children out of the house. And they go and they do it. Because for a while they're like, no, we gotta stay. You know what I mean?
You're on time.
We gotta stay. And then eventually, like, they, and I'm talking about kids when I am talking. And, ever since I mentioned it, the younger girl in the couple, she is, she's super worried about the baby, obviously. So they go, and dude, they come back with the baby. The baby's fucking alive, man. And the little girl got stuck trying to get the baby. And they bring the mom in. Mom had broken foot, ankle shoved through the bone. They just had water wash them out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like as violent with the trees and stuff, but their house collapsed on them because their house was, all those houses are built like terrible cardboard.
Yeah.
And you saw my house, dude. It was falling apart. And anyway, they keep going back, and everyone besides me, basically, and maybe a couple of the girls are trying to go back and forth to save the girl. They finally save the girl, and right after they do, the spelunkers come, the climbers come, and they see it all, and they put in a chopper order, and they keep talking about, we're going to try a chopper order, because I'm just like, hospital, helicopter. Those are pretty much the only words I say. I'm basically saying lawyer. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they eventually he comes back and he's like, yo, dude, I think we actually can get a helicopter. We're going to stay here tonight and see if the helicopter can come in the morning. So 24 hours of being in that house is 24 hours. Chopper came. And everyone stayed the night. Everyone was super cool. I love all those people. I'll say their names in the next story after I clear them for that. But the chopper was crazy too, because there was not a good place for a chopper.
No,
and there wasn't a good place for a basket either.
No.
So like I was escorted out by one of those dudes, and I couldn't move, and it was crazy how much I couldn't move once I got in that house because of how much of the moving I had done. I was like, how the fuck did I do that when I can't even use the bathroom?
Adrenaline, man.
It was
pure adrenaline.
Sick. Adrenaline is nasty. If you can tap into that survival shit, you can survive, man. You just gotta believe. I know that's like being in physical shape and all that. That was 100% all a part of it, but it was like the belief. And that helps the belief, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just knew I was going to make it out of there. And I knew we were going to get a chopper, and that's crazy because the chopper just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Especially there. But they dropped that basket down, and I get in that basket, which is literally a grocery basket.
Yeah.
It's just a shopping cart top with like shit rigged to it.
Do you have to fold all up with your broken ribs in the
basket?
Dude,
it was crazy.
So it wasn't a flat thing.
Hell no. So I'm glad it wasn't a flat thing, because I told them I can't lay flat. You know what I mean? And I also didn't know if my back was affected or not, because there was so much pain when I tried to move around that I didn't feel like it was my back, but I've never had my back hurt. Yeah. So I had to tell them there's a possibility that there's some spinal shit happening here. Yeah. Which like means I can't lay down. Yeah. Or else it'll break. So luckily I knew my stuff a little bit, you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, they put me in that basket, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna we're gonna have to reset or something because I'm gonna crash into these fucking trees. And they go up, dude, and I start crashing into this fucking trees. And then thank God they reset. They put me back down on the ground. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, you don't want the spin.
Yeah, dude, I'm not trying to... Dude, I'm not trying to make it to the chopper then die.
Yeah.
What a bitch.
In the air.
That's so lame,
what
dude.
What a way to go.
Lame.
You survived everything and you didn't just... Yeah. But...
Dude, I can breathe so much better today.
You sound better.
Dude, yesterday I couldn't talk like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, the second time, chopper lifted up beautifully. You know what it felt like? It felt like, you know when you get an RC helicopter and you do the basket as a kid? It was just those guys, but they grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like a super official feeling or anything, but it was fun. And that part was actually beautiful, going over the mountains in a helicopter. A helicopter sounds different than you think too. It's a lot higher pitched than you'd expect. It's kind of like, you know, when an ambulance drives past you and you hear the Doppler of the pitch drop. The wah, wah, wah. In a helicopter, since you don't get so close to them, you only hear the pitch drop.
Yeah.
So when you get closer, it's actually like a really high pitched whistling that's happening, and it's not a low pitch cha 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 cha.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting sound, but yeah, we flew over the flooded mountains after that. I wish we'd have flown over the mountains that had the landslides.
How was it looking down?
It was cool.
Like
I said, I wish we were flying over the landslides. We didn't fly over any of the landslide parts. But we did fly over the flood parts, and it looked crazy.
How far did they fly you to from that
They
place?
flowed me, dude, thank God they did, because they were going to fly me to Mission, which I didn't know was going to be a bad thing, but that would have been really hard for this next step to happen, which I'll tell you about that too, because that's fun. But instead, they needed fuel, I guess, to go back and get the rest of the family, because it was me, the mom, and the daughter that had a shattered leg. Her leg was broken all the way down because she was stuck under the house.
Yeah.
And the mom had a bone sticking through her leg too. So we were in the chopper.
Were you guys together, or did they make separate trips?
We were in the same chopper, just on the other sides of it. And then we flew to Pardee.
Okay.
Pardee is a hospital in Hendersonville, but it's called Pardee. And I was like, what are you guys talking about when they say party? Because they, you know, obviously it sounds like the word party, so it's hard, it's kind of like hard to understand what they were saying. But they went there so they can get fuel instead of Mission. And I'm down with it because I made it to the chopper. I know I'm going to survive now.
Yeah.
I was told I was going to survive if I made it to the chopper.
Yeah.
You know, so I trusted the chopper. We landed. They threw me in an ambulance. The guys had no idea, like, bless them, but obviously this place is very stretched thin because all the people that are new to the job are now having to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And they don't have, like, babysitters because they're all spread thin now.
And just so everybody knows, Pardee is a very rural hospital that's not, I mean, they do, like you said, they do what they can, but it's tiny. It's a tiny hospital.
They have never had an event like this happen either.
No.
And apparently I'm not the only person that needs medical help after this giant storm.
Yeah.
So they were so stretched thin, they didn't even have water. And they were running on generator, so they didn't have, like, systems. They didn't have phones. I couldn't get a phone call. Nobody knows I'd even went through this. Yeah. Everyone's just like, oh, Colston's phone's dead, you know?
No, I knew something was up.
And
I kept on calling. I knew something was up.
That's cool.
You know, you just feel it.
Yeah. The people that are real close to me, I bet, and everyone that I've said that to, that's been real close to me, which is pretty much everyone I've talked to. Yeah. And they said that they knew some weird shit was going down.
Yeah.
But anyway, I finally got an RN to give me their phone. And I dialed because I knew if I got my sister, that I would get out of that hospital. Because I knew I did not need to be there. Yeah. Because, dude, they couldn't even get... I asked for water, and, like, 30 minutes later, they gave me 2 ice cubes. And like, I was like, dude, this is going to be harder to survive here than the place I was just at. Yeah. So, I mean, God bless them, and they're all trying their hardest, but you know what I mean? So, I got Caitlin on the phone. Maybe you'll meet her. I'm sure you will one day. She lives here. But anyway, she's in the medical field. And then her husband, my brother-in-law, is an eye surgeon, so they both know their shit. They live here in Charlotte. They're like, we got to get you to Charlotte.
This is a good
I was like,
hospital.
yes,
Yeah.
we need to get here. That's why I called. And they're like, we're going to come bust you out. So they came up. They brought the electric car so they didn't have to stop by any gas stations because there's no gas. They brought a chainsaw, all that stuff, just in case they couldn't get to me. And, you know, they got here. They talked to the people. Everyone's like, he's not leaving. They're like, well, he is leaving. You know what I mean? So there's some of that. And then, you know, I ended up packing up that lung box right there because they had already poked me. And, you know, we got the hell up out of Dodge. And I sat in that Revere and we drove 2 hours to this hospital.
This is the place to be.
And now I'm all healed. Now I'm talking.
Yeah.
Shit, I can do a backflip.
Nah, I don't know about that.
All right, I can't do a backflip, but I can. You know, the girls are saved out of there.
Dude, you did everything. I mean, the chance of survival is next to nil.
It was like if it was anyone, if anything had happened differently, if I stepped 2 feet to the left, if I would have, you know what I mean,
slept in.
if I would have fell asleep, if I would have not told them I had a concussion,
Yeah.
if I would have like, you know, there was so many things that could happen differently, especially me running to the other corner of my room and side checking that fucking wall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That saved me from being crushed 100%. That was crazy. And that's the story of how this man survived that landslide, dude. And it was ugly, dude. I'm telling you. There's nothing. When I was standing between those two roads of like the one that was mud and the one that was just trees, I was looking around and it was like crazy to me because that's normally like the most, I love that scene. I love Back Cave. I think it's the most beautiful area. That river's so beautiful. It was just like the ugliest. It was hell on earth. Nothing but nature stuff. No human-made stuff. I mean, I did see a roof, but besides that, it was just like nothing but poking, savage, mud flowing, violence. It was really crazy seeing a natural disaster like turn such a beautiful place into such a treacherous, like ugly. Like it really did make me like think of like hell on earth, and I gotta escape this hell. It was weird.
Something, you know, you got a lot of people out there that are worried about you, that love you,
Yeah.
and that are concerned about you. You got people that don't even know you that are reaching out and trying to find out what they can do.
Yeah, I'm about to reach out to everyone like that. Once I get my social hooked back up, because that's like how I reach them all, because I don't have anybody's contacts. I turn my phone back on. But I'll reach out and I'll tell a much shorter version of that where you know, I let them know that I went through some stuff, you know, and it was hard, but I survived it, and I helped some others along the way, and
Dude,
and
you are a hero, and there's, you know, people sometimes think, oh, you got to be military or you got to be firefighter or something like that. Sometimes you just persevere, and you know, you affected so many other lives.
dude, everyone in that house that I was in, the one that I found shelter in,
Yeah.
all those people are like heroes in their own ways and played like a part in saving my life and saving their lives and saving each other's. Like, it was really beautiful seeing so many different people that never would have came together.
Yeah.
They just never, we were all so different.
Probably wouldn't even talk
very
to each
different
other
ages.
crossing the road.
Yeah, we might wave to each other, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But we're all busy with our own lives. But it was the most beautiful thing how, like, as soon as disaster hits, we all link up. You know what I mean? And some of those people even have, like, biffs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We all were holding hands and being like, we're going to get through this.
You know,
And we all played our part in getting that.
It's something that I touched on a text when I sent it out, just to let everyone know about what was going on. There's no after this.
Yo, can you hand me that water, man?
Yeah, after this happened, there was no right wing, there was no left wing, there was none of that bullshit. It was just everybody came together and provided whether it be chainsaws, whether it be trucks. The good old boys came out.
That's sick, dude. I love that.
The good old boys came out. We were out there cutting roads and moving logs and,
Yeah.
you know, just four-wheeling, ripping, you know, logs off of people's cars. And there was no talk about, oh, you like this person or you like, nobody gave a shit. It was just, we're here. We need to help locals. We're all fam. And I kind of wish that the rest of America had a little bit of a dose of this, so we can see actually what is truly important, because all that shit is only surface deep, and what happened to us and happened to you in particular is something that's so profound that is everyone is. I wish everyone could feel that what is going on in Asheville on a worldwide or on a, you know, on
it was a level of connection that I haven't seen ever. And like, it was especially beautiful because all I've seen ever since COVID and like, you know, the polarizing presidents has just been nothing but separate and separate and separate and separate.
Yeah.
And then like
divide.
And then like the virus was weird because it got political. Mm-hmm. But like the mudslide, and I've only seen those people in those houses, but it wasn't a political thing at all. We were just like, shit, dude, we just need to survive.
We're human. We need to help each other. We don't give a shit anything else. You know what I mean? It's just... But I think we'll
it was beautiful.
Close this one up, and then we'll maybe do some more.
I mean, yeah, we can close this one up. That was an awesome tale.